And welcome back to Sports Weekly on IEMG. My name is Pep Fernandez. In this segment, we're talking Cal State San Bernardino baseball, the Coyotes, with their best season in more than 2 decades. A great year for CSUSB and head coach Mike Nadeau. Not only did they reach the conference tournament, but they went up to Chico State, the location of the conference tournament. They won a couple games. They went all the way to the semifinals. They beat the number 1 seed, Cal State Monterey Bay. And it was a great year for Cal State San Bernardino. In fact, their best year in more than 2 decades, getting their first conference tournament win in 20 years. So great year for the Coyotes and a great year for slugger Kyle Sakin, who hit 20 home runs during the regular season, which not only led the conference, but also broke about a 30-year-old school record for home runs in a season with those 20 jacks. All right, here is Kyle Sakin and head coach Mike Nadeau reflecting back on this season. For Kyle Sakin, his college career is over, but really helped the Coyotes get back on the baseball map. And for head coach Mike Nadeau, very excited about the future at Fiscalini Field. And now join us here on the show, fresh off their best season in, I would say, probably 2 decades. Cal State San Bernardino baseball joined us here. And head coach Mike Nadeau, Kyle Sakin's going to hop on as well in a moment. But Coach Nadeau, man, what a great season to get to the conference tournament, to win not only 1, but 2 games. You knock off the number 1 seed. I mean, going into this season, were these kind of the goals, the expectations you were hoping to have for CSUSB this year?
I think every year you go into it. Well, first of all, thanks, Pat. I appreciate you having us on. I know we did an interview early in fall, I believe it was. We got together, and even then we were wondering the what ifs. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate you having us on and giving us some time, because we need the publicity and get our face out there. So, but yeah, you know what? When we start the year, I think our goal is always to win. I mean, you always want to figure out what you got and where it's going to take us. We liked what we had in the fall. We had some really good meetings, and I think our goal is always to get to the playoffs and see what we could do from there. But you just never know. I mean, Point Loma was a really tough start for us. We got it handed to us to start the season, but look where Point Loma is now. I mean, I think they're 3rd in the nation right now, and actually just won their first game and knocked out Pomona. Was that yesterday? So I mean, they're a good team, but it was a wake up call for us just to see where are we, because they were good. And then we got into our next couple series and we started to wake up, and our bats woke up, which you'll talk to Kyle here in a little bit, which was the biggest bat. And then we saw our pitching rotation actually start to get really good. And you know, baseball, if you pitch and play defense, you're going to win some games. We know we're going to score runs at Fiscalini, which we did this year. But we just started to see it come together. And then we actually had that first series against Pomona where we took 3 out of 4. And then I think that's when we started to think, you know, maybe we got a pretty good team here. We have a lot of older guys and a lot of older guys that are going to return next year. But you see that veteran leadership kind of kick in and watch them take over. And, man, there was just no give up. They really created this family atmosphere this year. The culture was awesome. I know Kyle will talk about that a little bit too. It's just it was different. For me as a head coach and been coaching college baseball for 20-some years, I hadn't seen a culture like this. And when you start to see that as a head coach, you start to see it transform on the field. And that's what was fun. And I really believe that that's what was a turning point for us.
So, Coach, just to make it to the conference tournament, you know, obviously a big deal for the program, but to get there, to get your first win in 2 decades at the conference tournament, you knock off the number 1 seed. At what point were you thinking, hey, you know, we're going to make a serious run here at this, you know, the postseason conference tournament? Like, you guys are legitimate and you guys belong, you know, there with those other teams.
Well, I think we knew that all year long. We had to go through that stretch of playing Dominguez, Monterey Bay, Chico. We had a really hard stretch of games. And then, you know, we got to East Bay, which then we clinched. Then we, of course, we go up to Sonoma. We don't play them very well. And then they're our opening round. You know, we got them. We knew we wanted that 4 or 5 seed. To play Sonoma. We didn't play great baseball there, but we knew, I think when we knew we got our seed that we had a chance. We beat everybody. I mean, even, you know, we might have lost series, but we beat them. Even when we went up to Monterey Bay, we put 17 runs on them. I mean, we came out and smashed some baseballs. And then even the last game on Sunday, we lose 3-2 in a really good game. I think they knew we were a good team. And I don't think we cared who we played. The guys knew that. They had confidence. They knew if we were swinging the bats and pitching well that we can win it. We can win any game, and we did it all year. And we got to the playoffs, and I know we had a shot. We got to those first 3 games, and we went through a lot of pitching. And that's what hurt us. And we did that thing against Pomona. We kind of saved our pitchers for Monterey to hopefully beat them, which we did, which then got us into that next game against Dominguez. And then it was the what if. Let's hope that we can get something out of a few guys and give us that opportunity to get into Saturday, but it just didn't work out.
Well, Coach, let me jump over to Kyle Sakin as well here, and we'll get back to you in a moment. And Kyle, Coach talked about hitting the ball really hard this season as a team, yourself. Kyle, the power numbers, man. Do you consider yourself a slugger, a power hitter, or where'd that kind of come from?
After this year, I definitely do. But years before, it was kind of like I felt like I could do it, but this year I actually did it. So that was good to see it finally come together.
You played for my boy Ty de Trinidad out there at Santiago out there in
I remember.
In Corona.
I remember the old highlights.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely. But what was it? I think 20 home runs, during the regular season. Did you ever at any level, youth baseball, Santiago, anywhere, did you ever have home run numbers like you enjoyed this year?
No, Santiago, I hit my first home run my junior year, and then I hit 2 my senior year. And then before this year, I had 4 collegiate home runs. So, yeah, I had 7 before this year.
So, Kyle, how rewarding was this season for you? Again, coming back, I think you were, maybe 6 years at Cal State. I know you're working on the Masters. But how rewarding was it for you knowing, hey, I want to come back. I want to play another, one more year. And to have a season like you did, it must have felt great.
It did. It was 4 years until, 4 seasons that we played. And then this year we came out, and I think we had the preseason poll come out and we were ranked 10th. So our team just kind of rallied behind that. And then just having the season go into the postseason for my last year, it meant a lot to me. So
what do you think, Kyle? Because, obviously you've been around the program for a little bit. What do you think was the difference this year? Was it, Coach, talking about family and the closeness of this group? Was it the pitching and the power hitters? You guys put up a lot of runs this season as well. What do you think was different about this year's team that you guys were able to have so much success?
I think it was that family kind of culture and that family atmosphere that we had, because for the most part, we have all the same players. We have the same hitters, the same pitchers, but we just came together as a family, and that we just rode that through the entire season. And after the Point Loma series, it put us on the back foot, but then we regrouped, reassessed, and figured out what kind of team we are, and came back and played to the best of our ability.
So, Kyle, this is a legit question because I don't know the answer. Is Fiscalini Field, would you consider it a home run hitter's ballpark, or is it more of a pitcher's ballpark, or somewhere in the middle?
I would definitely say it's a home run hitter's ballpark, but it's the center field fence. It comes straight across from from right center and left center, so that kind of makes center field shorter than most other ballparks, but the foul poles are about the same, but it's that center field fence that comes in a little bit.
Did you go into this season thinking, you know what, I'm gonna swing as hard as I can at every pitch, or were you just trying to make contact and a lot of these balls went 400 feet?
Before, it's always been kind of try to get a base hit, maybe a double in the gap, but after the Central Washington or Pomona series, I kind of switched to I'm going to look for a fastball and I'm going to pull it and just hit it as hard as possible. And then just took that through the whole season.
Did Coach give you any advice about, when you get up to the plate, what you should be looking for? Or is it you just always have the green light when you're swinging the bat that well?
Nato always wants me to go the other way because he says I hook barrel a lot before this year. But I think he kind of finally gave me some freedom to swing away this year.
All right, Kyle, finally, I know you're working on your Masters. You got another season of baseball under your belt at Cal State San Bernardino, which is awesome. What's next for you, man?
So this year, still got to do my Masters. Probably got to get a actual job now, but hopefully in my free time, I'll be able to help coach San Bernardino next year in the fall and in the spring. So looking forward to that.
That's awesome, Kyle. Congrats on the season. Before I let you go, I just thought of this too. Obviously, I mentioned the conference leader in home runs during the regular season, but then you also broke the school record. I think it was like 30 plus years for home runs in a season. What does that mean to you to have that record?
Oh, it means a lot. Actually, that game was the game before our senior game, so. My mom from Massachusetts came and she flew out and she actually got to see that moment. So, and then just having that moment with my team, it was a lot of fun.
Did you know what the record was in the back of your mind? Were you kind of chasing it throughout the season or not till you got really close?
When I had 12 home runs, that's when I looked up what the record was. And then I was kind of shooting for it, but yeah.
That's awesome. Kyle Sakin, everybody. Kyle, congrats on a great season at Cal State. Congratulations on your master's degree, man. That is really cool as well. I know you're going to get that done.
Yeah, thank you.
You got it. And let me go back to Coach Nadeau. Mike Nadeau, your skipper for the Coyotes. Coach, man, what can you say about Kyle and the kind of season he's had this year?
Well, I agree with him when he said that I told him a lot about hook barrel. We would do it in BP all the time, and he would just smash baseballs, but they would just go straight to left field, and they would hook foul. And I was trying to just when I tell him to go up the middle the other way, it's me just making sure his hands are inside the baseball. So once he started getting his hands inside the baseball, then he can pull anything he wants because now the ball's not going foul. But Kyle had done it for the 4 years that I'd coached him. We'd see him in BP. He has tremendous power. But I think it was pitch selection, and he'll even tell you that. He just started looking for a pitch, and he had a plan. And when you have a plan, then your approach comes together, and then you're going to start hitting. You're going to have a ton of confidence. And I think that's the best thing about Kyle. We put him in the outfield, let him have some freedom, and then came into the infield and played third base too. And he actually did a great job. He didn't change. That's maturity. I mean, you're gonna talk to a lot of baseball players and coaches, and they'll talk about it. When I mature and my brain slows down and I slow the baseball game down, it's easier. And Kyle did that this year. He made the game a little bit easier, and he made it look easy as he was smashing baseballs all year.
All right, Coach, let's look ahead for a moment. What is next season going to look like for the Coyotes? You got a bunch of guys coming back. Are you excited about, what next year might look like?
Yeah, we're really excited. We're losing 4 guys. I mean, we're really losing 4 guys. We'll lose Kyle, which of course is a big bat. You can't replace that. You hope you can get a couple more guys that'll actually just pick up their numbers. You lose Brandon Galindo, our center fielder, who's our leadoff guy all year, was just a great spark plug for us. And then we'll lose a couple arms out of the bullpen, really, Jackson Gilmore and Alonso. But, we've got some great guys coming in. But what I'm really excited about is the core coming back. I mean, the guys that are coming back are our core group. I mean, we have everybody. Our starting rotation will be back. The meat of the lineup besides Kyle is back. We have some great players that are ready to step up and to do good. And we've got some great guys coming in and our plan is to go further. I mean, that's the ultimate goal now as this program's been built. And like I said, we haven't did what we did in 20 years. And to hear about that, I didn't even know. I didn't even know until things were going on. I didn't know Kyle broke this record until we got late in the season. So we're putting ourselves on a map, but we're just playing really good baseball. And it all starts with recruiting. I mean, you got to bring in the right kids to fit into what we're trying to do here. Recruiting's 50-50. We either get them or we don't. They fit in or they don't. And, man, this year when we brought in a bunch of guys, they fit. They fit in right away. And these older guys like Kyle and Deshaun and Barraza, there's Coleman. There was just some guys that came back that really made sure that these guys fit into what we're trying to build here. And, man, it was fun. It was, as a coach, it was just fun to watch these guys run around the field and just have fun doing it. This is a game. It is not a job. And to see these guys smiling and laughing and celebrating Kyle, those last few series, it was just really fun watching our dugout. We had a very energetic dugout for people that came to our game. And I think it helps. It helps those guys to know that they've got their back and people are there for them. But I'm super excited for next year. It sucks that this ends. We're going to get a couple weeks off, but then we're going to get right back at it and look forward to the end of August. And man, I'm excited for this team to get on the field next year.
And Coach Nadeau, call me Captain Obvious here, but when you win and have a great year, that helps recruiting as well, right? When you're going out and you're talking to these high school kids.
Yeah, I think, the biggest thing is getting calls or text messages from coaches that we've never heard from before. And you start winning and people are saying, hey, great season. Good to see you guys on the map again. It's nice. Parnell was the last guy that had this program going where it was. And that was a long time ago. but to have alumni reach out to us from the team in 2002 that actually won a playoff game, we got 4 or 5 text messages from those type of guys, and then they're coaching baseball and they're like, hey, we've got some guys. Or the local JCs that, they never wanted to send their guys to San Bernardino, and now we're getting those phone calls and texts of some of their better players and saying, hey, we see what you're doing over there. We want to send our guys to you now and keep them closer to home. So it's made a big difference for sure.
That is awesome. Mike Nadeau, the head coach of the Coyotes, Kyle Sakin, your home run king for the Coyotes and conference leader. Guys, thank you so much. Congrats on an incredible year. And Coach, we'll have to catch up again soon, man. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Pep. I really appreciate you having us on, man. Thank you.
A big thanks to Coach Nadeau and Kyle Sakin for that interview. That's going to do it for this edition of Sports Weekly. Make sure you subscribe to the IE Media Group YouTube channel. It's the best way to stay up to date on the best sports coverage here in San Bernardino. My name is Pep Fernandez, and we will see you next time on Sports Weekly on IEMG.